Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ICHK Graduation Assembly of 2021. My name is Jordan, and this is Julia, and we'll be your hosts for tonight. We do hope you will enjoy your evenings and yourselves tonight.
Firstly, we'd like to congratulate the Year 13s who have not only finished 7 years of secondary school, but have also been ICHK's first graduating cohort to have completed their full IB program during a global pandemic. Secondly, we'd like to thank the teachers and parents for supporting them through this stressful and unpredictable time with patience. Tonight, we will begin the evening with a speech from our head of school, Mr. Toby Newton.
Good evening, everyone. What a relief to take my mask off. Congratulations, graduates. Fantastic, you look amazing. It's a great shame that we're not able to undertake this little celebration of your graduation at an alternative venue, but I'm afraid we're going to have to make do with this evening. I hope that the decoration that's been done makes it feel that little bit special. But of course, in any case, really it's all about you and the strength of your personalities. So I want to start off by offering my sincere congratulations. It's very odd for me because you are students who, when I first joined the school, which is, I think, 8, 9 years ago now, I remember you first as really, really tiny gremlins. And you're so adult now. And it just makes me feel really old. But there we go. So what I'm going to do now is say a few words in celebration of your achievement. So for students to have reached this point in their learning journey is always worthy of celebration. In case you haven't noticed, you've left school. Yes, that's right, you're no longer school children. One phase of your life is over. You'll never be school children again. And another phase begins. And I'm sure you're going to find that phase interesting. But before you embark on your new adventures, it must be said, for you to have achieved this milestone in your self-development with such resolve during a period of unprecedented frustration and inconvenience makes your achievement all the more remarkable. It falls to me now, therefore, to say a few words to some remarkable people. Words that are intended to stay with you as you take leave of ICHK for the last time, and as you step out into the world beyond, with all the challenges, intrigues, complications, pleasures, and rewards that world promises. The few words that I offer you concern the Crutchfield situation. The Crutchfield situation. What's that, you asked? Well, let me explain. The Crutchfield situation was a series of experiments conducted by the American researcher Richard Crutchfield in the mid-1950s. Crutchfield's interest lay in human psychology, and particularly in an area of human behaviour that was receiving a great deal of attention at the time. Together with other luminaries in the field, such as Stanley Milgram and Philip Zimbardo, Crutchfield was concerned to measure human conformity. That is, the extent to which people tend to shape and adapt their behaviour to fit in with the behaviour of those who share their environment. Working in the immediate post-war years, and with the horror stories of fascism still fresh in their mind, these psychologists sought to understand better the ways in which people respond to situations which challenge their agency, that is, their ability to exercise control over their own decisions and actions. Milgram and Zimbardo's work went on to capture the popular imagination and is now quite well known outside of academic circles. You may well have heard of the notorious Milgram experiment, which demonstrated an uncomfortably high percentage of individuals who would continue to inflict suffering on others if ordered to do so by someone in authority. You might also have heard of Zimbardo's equally unsettling Stanford experiment, which seemed to illustrate how quickly people will fall into abusive behaviour and treatment of others once they believe their own authority is at stake. So in both cases, the results of the research are disturbing, but also I think they are lurid and quite extreme, to the point where they appear almost otherworldly. We can ignore them because they don't speak to us in our world. Not so with the Crutchfield experiment. So the Crutchfield situation, I think, does speak to us. And what I would like to do is just briefly sketch it to you and ask you to bear it in mind as you leave ICHK. Crutchfield's work was much less sensational, and because of that, perhaps more recognisable in respect to our own experience and relevant to our own conduct. The Crutchfield situation runs as follows. Picture a group of volunteers in a laboratory or a room where they are placed in isolated booths. They are told that they are being assessed for their ability to judge the physical properties of shapes or lines. They are told all they need to do is estimate the comparisons between them. Which is the longest, which has the largest surface area, which is the widest, and so on. So that would be a typical example of the Crutchfield situation. You're asked in your booth, isolated from the other people who are in the room with you, to look at those two shapes and decide which of them, the blue or the purple, takes up more surface area. And you can do that now. I don't need you to shout out the answer. But you'll see that it's not an especially challenging problem. So what was Crutchfield trying to get at? Well, as the volunteers made their suggestion, they were told that a series of lights above their own screen on which these shapes appeared would indicate the decisions being made at the same time by the other people who had volunteered to take part in the experiment. Or at least that's what they believed. Now, in fact, the experiment was set up so that they were not really seeing the decisions that their other volunteers were making. They were being shown a set of false data which was being generated by a computer. And being fed these false results, these indicated to them that there was a unanimous agreement by everybody else in the room about the decision that needed to be made. On some occasions, this consensus would point towards the correct answer, and on some occasions it would point towards an incorrect answer. So the experiment focuses on the decisions made by individuals as they find themselves caught up in a situation where they have two options. Either fall in line with consensus, despite knowing that the consensus actually is mistaken, or stick to your guns and insist on the rightness of your own decision, even though it's at odds with everybody else in your space. Now, whenever people hear about these kind of experiments, almost everybody claims that there's no way that they would ever have conformed with the consensus at the expense of truth. People always claim that they would stick to their guns and they would uphold the truth at any expense. But the research doesn't tell that story. The results of Crutchfield's research were both fascinating but also a little bit sobering. First, he found that everybody who participated in his experiment was seen to exhibit increased symptoms of stress and anxiety. The mere fact that people were placed under this kind of scrutiny, when their thoughts and actions would be compared with others, led them to increase a sense of anxiety and to find themselves under psychological pressure, stress, and burdened by expectation. The next thing he found was that it was common for participants to delay their response until the lights on their screen indicated what other people were thinking. And once a pattern was clear, they would then fall in line, even when the pattern was clearly wrong. Having then joined the gang, these people immediately began to show reduced symptoms of stress. However, Crutchfield also found that some people did hold fast to the evidence of their own eyes and judgment. And this included those occasions when their judgment appeared to be at odds with the opinions of everybody else in the room. These people, knowing that their views were not widely shared, manifested increased levels of stress and anxiety. But nonetheless, they refused to conform with what they did not believe to be true. In a phrase, they had the courage of their convictions. So what conclusions can we draw from the Crutchfield situation? For the findings of this experiment to offer us hope rather than despair, we must have faith in two features of human behaviour. First, we must believe that, provided you are given the right upbringing, leading to the right kind of experience and access to valid and accurate information, humans are capable of making intelligent evaluations of their own world. Second, and no less important, we must believe that this same upbringing, undertaken in a spirit of care and moral decency, in an environment that promotes personal goodness and integrity, will equip intelligent, evaluative, thoughtful humans with the courage of their convictions, so that they are capable of withstanding social pressure and upholding the values in which they believe. It's my hope that the education that you've received here at ICHK has provided an important dimension of this upbringing. And in so doing, I hope it has provided you with further grounds for the faith in human goodness and the validity of human nature. By having successfully completed the IB diploma or IB courses, you have all proven the first requirement. You have given evidence of your intellectual prowess, your capacity to think deeply, to inquire with an open mind, to collaborate with others, and to place yourselves in the service of your community. And we thank you for all those attributes that you've shown throughout your time in the school. Proof of the second requirement, proof that you have the courage of your convictions, will begin to accumulate from this moment on. As you leave the well-known territory of school and move into the less familiar landscape of the world beyond. As you do, I encourage you to remember the Crutchfield situation, to keep in mind the human tendency to crave the approval of the majority, even at the expense of being deliberately false to one's own beliefs. And I ask you to resist that tendency as you strive to live in ways that are authentic, decent, well-intentioned towards others, and finally, courageous. In doing that, you will lead a life of which you can be justly proud. And all of us, your parents, all your teachers, and everyone at ICHK wishes you the very best of luck in your first steps. Enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newton, for your amazing speech. We would now like to invite to the stage a few siblings of a few of our graduating students, Gemma and Martin. So if we could please welcome them to the stage. Yes.
Sam and I are really astonished by Gemma for all she's done in IB, so much so that we just had to make the effort to come up here and tell all of you how fully proud we are.
It's common knowledge in our family how hard Gemma works in everything that she does. From her love of Disney to her perseverance in IB, she never does anything halfway.
She's accomplished so much over the years, proper academic awards and personal hurdles alike. There for sure been struggles, but we never once doubted her.
We've watched her put her all into IB over these last 2 years, and we're going to miss her when she goes off to university later this year.
Good luck, Gemma. We know you will do well in uni, just like you've done in IB, and we love you.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Emily, Martin's older sister. I was about 10 years old when I first walked into this very hall, not knowing just how much of an impact the school would have on me. And now, here I am, 10 years later, a completely different person. ICHK was still very new. On that first day, I met kids who I now call lifelong friends. Teachers have seen me learn and grow and change from year 7 to now. I recall names like Mr. Blaine, Miss Luck, Mr. Clark, Mr. Parker, Mr. Reno, Mr. Chan. I think Mr. Newton was one of my teachers then as well. Anyway, more teachers came and went, but I can easily say that none of them have failed to touch my heart. I will remember all of these faces and names for the rest of my life, because they were part of shaping who I am today, and I could not have been more lucky to be surrounded by such wonderful, kind, intelligent individuals who truly prioritize the education and well-being of their students. This is the reason why I have so much faith and trust that they have led this graduating year well. Which brings me to what we are celebrating today. Martin, I got to see you mature into the person you are now. You were my first sibling, my first brother, but also my first friend. I was only 3 years old when you came into the world, and apparently I was a little bit jealous at first, but I always loved your presence and your company. I remember I made you play princess games on the Wii, and even though you hated it, you endured it just to make me happy. I remember when you first started attending ICHK, when I used to be taller than you, and when you needed my help for homework, when we'd eat lettuce during first breaks, or buy cookies after school. Sometimes you'd even choose to do the same after-school activities. It was comforting, knowing I always had you there with me, and it's a bittersweet feeling, knowing you're becoming more independent in your own person, but having to say goodbye to that stage of our lives, because you won't need your big sister anymore. You are an incredible brother and friend, not only to me, but to Mikkel and your friends too. I'm so proud of how you developed. I admire your resilience and how you welcome challenge, and how you put your heart into everything you do. From what I've seen, I know that wherever life takes you, you'll approach it with courage and enthusiasm that ICHK has taught you so well. I feel like I don't say this enough, but I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. I've also had the opportunity to see your classmates, your close friends, your volleyball team, some of which I also consider to be like younger siblings to me. I've seen you all grow and work incredibly hard to get here. It was a bit jarring coming back from university during the holidays, seeing you all change so much. I swore Benji got taller every time I came back. It's like I blinked my eyes and now I can't call you kids anymore. And as someone who has also completed the IB, I can tell you it was both one of the hardest things I've done, but also the most rewarding. Yet I feel as though this year group made it look so easy, and maybe even fun. Although this might be the end of this chapter, I know you are all well equipped to face what comes ahead, and I hope that even though you are all going your separate ways, you will remember this, the people in this room, and the memories you've created. Because what we're celebrating is more than just completing IB or graduating from high school. It's the family you've created with your friends and teachers while you're at ICHK. And I hope that this school will mean to you as much as it means to me, and that you come back every now and then to say hello to some familiar faces. I know this graduating class will make ICHK proud and go on to do amazing things in the future. So, congratulations to the teachers and parents for helping these students get this far, and congratulations to ICHK's class of 2021.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, graduates. I have a feeling I put more effort and preparation into this speech than I did my own exams. Even just writing this speech made me feel immensely nervous, but I'll give it my best shot. I consider myself to be the luckiest sibling of the three, mainly because I witnessed my older brother and sister take on the rigorous IB diploma before I approach it myself next year. If there's one key lesson I've learned from watching Emily in her last years of school, it's that I should never leave film for the last minute. And if there's one key lesson I've learned from watching Martin in his last years of school, it's that I should never leave film for the last minute. However, I'm not up here to remind you of past mistakes. I'm up here to celebrate an incredible milestone of yours. Maybe embarrass you a little bit, but hey, I'm your little brother after all. Martin has always been the perfect brother. He's always been there by my side, whether it be watching TV, playing some sort of video game where he would always win, or even teaching me how to play volleyball properly. He's my best buddy. I look up to my older brother in many ways. He took the combination of HL Math and HL Physics. That shows intelligence and courage. I woke up once in the middle of the night to see him still working on his physics IA. That shows perseverance and patience. Every day, without failure, he listens to at least 6 Linkin Park songs. That shows culture and loyalty. In fact, last year, Martin's Spotify evaluation showed that he was part of the top 0.01% of Linkin Park listeners worldwide. You can argue with him that there are better bands out there, but he has no idea other bands exist. And finally, I quite literally have to look up to him. He's still 1 centimeter taller than me. I'll get there one day though, then I can aim to match the height of Benji. It's been interesting watching Martin these past 2 years. I noticed he very much enjoys watching Christopher Nolan films. In case you didn't know, Christopher Nolan is famous for directing movies based on the idea of time manipulation, which I find somewhat ironic considering Martin's lack of time management to meet film deadlines. Martin is also strangely fond of spiders. I guess this is the result of playing that Spider-Man PS4 game. However, his liking of spiders does come in handy. I remember not long ago we had to wait for Martin to travel past many MTR stations to meet me and my family waiting timidly in a car park because of a spider lingering around in the car. We called him to come all the way to get rid of it because none of us were brave enough to come close to the creepy crawler. I guess in a way we need Martin around. He's the only one who knows how to fix the Wi-Fi. He's the only one who always has a charged power bank handy. And like I said before, he's always been there. Although our days of going to school together have come to an end, I'm extremely excited for you to embark on the next chapter in life. And I know I've only said this like 4 times before, but I love you, man, and I'm really gonna miss you. No cap. I'm not gonna shit. I've always felt particularly close to Martin's friend group. I remember meeting all his friends for the first time when I was in year 7. They all must have been thinking, finally, a Donut that doesn't constantly talk about destiny. Fast forward to when I was in year 8, I noticed that Martin and his friends had picked up the habit of playing volleyball during lunchtimes. This habit soon became a healthy addiction which triggered a thought in the brilliant mind of Marcus Coe. "Let's start a volleyball team," he said. "It'll be great," he said. That season, they went on to lose every single set they ever played. The repetitive losses acted as the fuel that pushed them through countless hours of grueling training. Watching them work their way towards their first victorious set inspired me to join them. Soon enough, what felt like years spent on the training courts led to their first time winning a set, then their first win, and again until the pain of their maiden season was cancelled out with the triumph of lifting their first champion's trophy. I still remember the day we beat SIS on their home court. I was amazed by how far you've come to achieve ultimate glory, similar to how far you all have come to completing your secondary school years. And I know we may have lost to CDNIS a couple of times in tournaments, but that's just more fuel for you to get through the next stage of your life. Thank you.
Well, it's just about time that the graduating students receive their graduation certificates. If we could please welcome to the stage Year 13 Forms Tutor Ms. Scarlett Lung and Head of Year Mr. John Rees.
Gemma Ball. Harry Kai. Clement Chen. Ryan Chen. Angus Chen. Chloe Chow. Valerie Chu. Declan Cunningham.
Clarissa Ho. Emily C. Temujin Tesford. Joshua Wu. Sherry Yi. Joshua Chen. Caroline Cho. Celine Hughes. Congratulations to all the graduates.
Before we finish tonight, we'd like to hear some final words of farewell from our IB coordinator, Miss Lai.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the girls backstage would attest to this, I'm already getting quite emotional back there, but I'm going to keep it together. Apparently there's a bet going on among staff in terms of when I'm actually going to shed a tear tonight. I'm trying my best to hold it together. I'd like to, before I officially start my speech, to thank a few people who've made tonight's event possible and such a wonderful, wonderful evening for us all. Thank you to our lovely photographer, Peter, who has been wonderful. Thank you. We've taken all the photos both behind the scenes and also obviously throughout the ceremony. Thank you to Liam Greenall. Mr. Greenall, where are you? And to Miss Chris Cook, who made this beautiful venue the way it is tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you to Martin Clark. Martin, where are you? Martin's back here. I honestly, hand on my heart, cannot do this job without Martin. He's been wonderful, wonderful colleague to me, and also has helped with this event. Oh gosh, has helped with this event in particular and made my life that much easier for the past couple of months. Last but not least, thank you so much to the graduation team. I have a team of year 12s tonight. Havana, Julia, Jordan, and Titan. Where are you, Titan? Wave to us. Titan. Yes, and I know Mary and I are staying to help as well. These wonderful students have helped put this event together. They wrote their own scripts. I know not everything has been perfect. It's mainly my fault, but they have been wonderful in every way. Right, and here's the official part. A warm welcome to you all. I'm honoured and pleased to be speaking once again as IB coordinator here. I remember standing on this very stage last year thinking, or I think even saying, what a year this has been for you all, and I said class of 2020. At that point, I did for a moment think that I'd be doing the same thing again 1 year on. Class of 2021, your entire IB journeys have much to be celebrated for. Not only for the usual reasons, such as the IB program being one of the most rigorous high school programs in the world, you have come out of it stronger and even more ready for what lies ahead of you than ever. But in particular, with this pandemic still very much affecting the world, you have completed these journeys with a level of determination, grit, resilience that has made us, and I do mean all of us, your teachers, Mr. Newton, your parents, your siblings, and the rest of our community, so very proud of you all. As your coordinator, or some of you refer to me as your IB mum, I have watched you go through a roller coaster of emotions. I have had laughter, cries of joy, cries of sadness, stress, excitement, you name it. I do see these emotions year after year, as students are humans after all, but can I just say, the roller coaster these past couple of years has been bigger, higher, but perhaps in some sense more rewarding for us all.
My dear class of 2021, despite some difficult tasks and countless messages and phone calls from me, sorry about that you have been counted in the course of your studies in the IB program. At the end of it all, you completed this part of your journey with great achievements and some undoubtedly beautiful memories. You have attained this impressive milestone in your life, and that is why we clapped you in at the start of this assembly. You probably don't read our school website very much, no offense taken, but hopefully, even without reading it, you know that as a school, one of the most important models that we implement is the 5+1 model. Now, I'm not going to quiz you on what the 5 or indeed the +1 stand for, but what I will say is that I truly believe that you, as a cohort, have been true practitioners of it. Harry, Clement, Ryan, Angus, Martin, Joshua Chan, Marcus and Benji, some of our very first volleyball team players at ICHK. I'm going to miss seeing you all playing on that backcourt and working as a fabulous team. And I haven't forgotten about our football players, Monty, Russell and Temujin, who were apparently brave enough to play our staff. Haley, who I know can't be with us today, we will miss your impressive artistic skills dearly, and yours too, Eunice. I wish I could draw like you. Chloe, I'm mentioning you amongst the artists here, as I was so impressed with the walls that you helped painted in one of our houses. Where are you, Chloe? Valerie, Cherry, and Yume, seeing you work with the students at our +1 Centre is one of the most heartwarming things I have ever seen. Declan and Annabelle, I shall miss your performances at school plays and productions. Celine, I know I said I love your handwriting. I've taught Celine for quite a few years now, but please don't chat to me on Zoom from the beach again. That made me very jealous. Having said that, I think my retirement is going to go very smoothly, and here is why. Charlie the pilot will be flying me to places on planes that Peggy and Melissa, the engineers, will design and fix, hopefully. And I will be well looked after by our nurse Emily, and Saskia will be filming all of my adventures, so I won't ever forget them. I can also take a pet with me to keep me accompanied, because Joshua Wood the vet will meet me in all sorts of places to look after it, and even when my pet is down with something we have not even heard of, Gemma, Carlisle, Clarissa, our biologists and pharmacists, amongst a team of our many scientists this year, will have found a cure in no time. I normally have a habit of ending my speeches with a little quotation from a famous scientist or a philosopher. This year, I'm still going to end with a quotation, but this time from a person who inspired me to become the teacher that I am today. And that is my biology teacher from high school, Mr. Trevor Chilton, who actually came and met some of you before the pandemic. On the day before my A-level results were released, Mr. Chilton said to me, "Flora, I will not think of you as any less a scientist than you are today, even if your results tomorrow are lower than what we might anticipate, because grades are not half as telling as me knowing you as a scientist." Class of 2021, whatever you see on that screen on results day in July, to me and to ICHK, you have all passed with flying colours. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a wonderful summer break. Thank you very much.
Sorry, this is I wanted to say this earlier and the moment fled, and I do still want to say it. Can I just ask Cherry and Yume to stand up? I just want to pay particular testimony to these two students. Everything that Ms. Lyons just said, this is an extraordinary cohort. But I do want to just say a few words about Cherry and Yume, because what they've pulled off in the last few weeks is they've under the tutelage of Mr. Parker, who's a hard taskmaster. They've managed to get together their mastery transcript. And I think the mastery transcript really does offer students the chance to show to the universities that they apply to all the things that this entire group have got in spades. So every single one of you, under different circumstances, would have been able to get your mastery transcript. We're quite sure of that. But I just want to pay testimony to those two girls for having managed, out of the very low level of energy that we've got at the moment, to still manage to do it. So well done, girls. Can we give them a round of applause? Yeah, deserves a fist bump. So thank you for that. I'm going to hand over to Julia, yes, or to Jesse. You take it away.
Well, thank you, Mr. Newton, and thank you, Miss Lai. Well, that just about concludes the evening, so we would now like to invite you all up to take a socially distanced photo.
Before we end, once again, we hope that all of you have enjoyed your evening, and we would once again like to say congratulations to the class of 2021.